Good morning, everybody. Happy July? Yes, we've made it. Summer is going to be over before we know it. I'm so excited. Not for the 4th of July, but I'm going to go thrift shopping after this. I need to get a little teaspoon, not like the measuring spoon, but like a British tea spoon. And I want a little desk ornament. Because real quick, I want to thank everyone again for the support over these past few episodes. It feels amazing when you guys enjoy a story. Getting right on into it today, according to Unsolved.com, as of 2020, the total number of cold cases in the United States topped 250,000. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement officials, more than 6,000 more unsolved murders and abductions are added to that number every year. Today, I bring you the Vermont Chalet murders. My name is Eli, and this is Murder in the Morning. My sources for today come from Unsolved.com, UnsolvedVermont.com, AP News, the Vermont Public Health website, and any more I will put down below. Vermont, a state celebrated for its lush green mountains, picturesque cabins, and homemade maple syrup. But this place bears a sinister side even many locals tend to forget. In recent years alone, quote, overall the country has had a 6% decrease in national firearm homicides between 2021 and 2022. But Vermont saw a 185% jump, according to Vermont State Police Captain Sean Lone? Yeah, Sean Lone. According to AP News, statewide, Vermont's homicide rate last year was about 3.9 per 100,000, compared with LA's at 3.1 and New York City at 2.3 per 100,000. The city of Burlington's rate was 11.2 per 100,000, exceeding the rates in Philadelphia, Phoenix, and Springfield, Massachusetts. I never imagined I would read a stat like that. But this isn't new. Vermont has had a history of mysterious and unsolved murders. A quick look at Vermont's public safety website revealed 37 known missing persons and over 40 unsolved homicides, not to mention every case that has found a resolution. The town of Jay, Vermont, Jay. This town is small, scenic, and known for skiing and golfing, thanks to their Jay Peak Resort, located at the very top of Vermont in Orleans County and borders Quebec. Jay is in an area of the state known as the, quote, Northeast Kingdom, and is one of the last undeveloped towns where you still find peace and serenity while enjoying world-class recreational opportunities that exist. Activities are welcome all year round: skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, hiking, fishing, hunting, murder, birdwatching, mountain biking, and spectacular fall leaf peeping. The leaf peepers! What they don't say, though, it's spendy. Very expensive to live in many of these towns, these small mountain towns. Roland Hanel, a 49-year-old German immigrant, and his wife Miriam, a 32-year-old born in Egypt, had moved to Montreal, Canada in the late 1960s after their wedding. For work purposes, Roland would split his time between Canada and Jay, Vermont. Over time, the two slowly fell in love with Vermont's greenery and decided to live here year-round, leaving Montreal for good. Roland had finished building a beautiful 2-story chalet on Gendron Road, and the couple officially moved in 1981. They lived in the basement rooms and rented out the top floors to help sustain their somewhat lavish retirement. This dreamy, lifestyle came to a tragic end on Thursday, September 20th, 1984. That afternoon, a friend stopped by the chalet for a friendly chat, but instead found both Roland and Mara lying in pools of their own blood. According to a newspaper clipping published in 1984, quote, Dr. Paul L. Morrow, the deputy chief medical examiner, said on Saturday he found 11 gunshot wounds in each of the bodies of Roland Hanel, who was 49, and his 32-year-old wife, Mara. Morrow estimated that 11 to 8 shots were fired at each after taking into consideration that more than one wound could be caused by a single bullet. Police have found no one who heard the shots, but residents say many hunters are in the area, so gunfire would not be unusual. The coroner said there was no way to determine the exact time of the shooting, but he said it was clear from the changes in the bodies following the death that the couple had been dead, quote, certainly 24 hours or more, when found by this friend Thursday at 4:30 p.m. A next-door neighbor told a reporter he saw Mr. Hanel remodeling one of his chalets last Sunday morning, about 4 days prior. However, a second witness told police on Saturday she saw the couple at a Troy gasoline station Wednesday evening around sunset. An attendant at the station had also told authorities and a reporter on Friday that the couple had purchased some diesel fuel Wednesday evening and then headed towards Jay, Vermont. This confused the investigators. If the coroner's saying they had to have been dead at least 24 hours, that seems like a pretty confident statement, right? But then you have 2 people at a gas station, so 2 confirmed sightings from witnesses that say they saw them on Wednesday around sundown. That means they would have been dead for much less than 24 hours. Oh, well, at least like 5 or 6 hours less, which is a big difference in dead person time. Quote, Vermont State Police Corporal Peter Jackson said, it seems improbable, but what can I say about the Wednesday sightings? I've talked with the attendant a couple of times now, and she swears she saw them. We're just going to keep plugging away, Johnson said. As of that Saturday evening, Johnson continued, no arrests have been made, no weapon has been recovered, nor any motive been determined. Medical examiner Morrow said that Roland was shot in the chest, abdomen, arms, legs, back, and head. Miss Mara was struck in both arms, chest, and abdomen. There were no powder burns on the body, Morrow said, indicating the couple was not shot at extremely close range. Roland was found in the living room and his wife in the adjoining kitchen, according to Philip White, the state attorney. There were no other injuries found besides the gunshot wounds. And the only type of weapon the autopsy ruled out was a shotgun because it makes a different type of hole, essentially. The exact make of gun will have to be later determined from police ballistic tests, he said. Friends of the couple were devastated, voicing their grief in local newspapers. One neighbor remembers Mara picking strawberries in a beautifully trimmed garden, or Mr. Roland biking to and from town, not one to use his truck. However, not everyone was a fan of Roland. According to Unsolved, Vermont, Roland and one of his neighbors reportedly had a, quote, long-standing boundary dispute. But investigators ruled this out and did not think it led to the murder. Plus, that particular neighbor was in Texas at the time. Another area resident stated that some people in the town were, quote, irked by Roland, who could be assertive and opinionated. The police didn't rule out anything early in this investigation, but also did not point to any particular suspect or speculate about what led to the crime. Police would eventually conclude the weapon used was either a semi-automatic or automatic weapon, again still very broad. When the public learned of this, many people came forward and told police the killer had to be from out of town. If a J resident did this, they would have used a rifle or a shotgun. The only other lead investigators had was a man named Loman Mays. Less than a week before the Hanels were found murdered, Mays had robbed a bank in Londonderry, roughly 3 hours south of Jay, Vermont. Mr. Mays here had escaped a Tennessee prison the summer prior, and investigators considered the possibility of his involvement. I assume they were thinking, he's come this far north, maybe he's headed towards the Canadian border. However, Mays would be caught the following year in Wyoming, on the other side of the country, and charged with a bank robbery. But police were never unable to connect him with the Roland and Hanel murders. According to Unsolved, Vermont, 2 years after the murder, the FBI developed a psych profile that suggested the Hanels knew their killer. According to this profile, the culprit had likely been to the Hanels' chalet before and, quote, targeted the couple specifically. It also stated that he or she was in the same age group as Mara and Roland, may have been using drugs or alcohol at the time of the murder, and possibly attempted to, quote, mislead police in the investigation, end quote. After this profile was released, there appears to have been very little media coverage of the murder until an article published in 2000 by the Caledonian Record, which shed some more light on the leads that police had followed. There had been speculation that the murder was tied to a drug trafficking because Roland owned a boat in Florida which he chartered for cruises, or a possible connection to international terrorism was also considered. Nothing was ever found to connect this couple to criminal activity or terrorism. Both of these leads were just rampant speculation with no real evidence to support them. Investigators had arrived at a dead end. I'm no detective, but one thing sticks out to me. Sure, DNA evidence at the time was in the babyest of stages, but fingerprinting had been a common tool used for decades prior to this event. I realized the police had no murder weapon, but I also can't find any evidence supporting they searched the house for prints or the chalet. The door handle, for example. Maybe the killer opened or closed the door after murdering these two people. Just give it a little dust, you know? And if they did get some prints, let's say I'm wrong, let's run them through the system again. Quote, Pete Johnson, who was the lead detective on the case in the 1980s, told the Caledonian Record that he did not believe the killer lived in the J area and that the Hanels were, quote, fine, upstanding, honest people. Roland's daughter, Karen, speculated that a friend or an ex-boyfriend of Mara's might have been the killer, which would explain why Mara opened the door for him or her. Karen did not name a particular person in this theory, and police have not publicly said if they have investigated her theory or not, end quote. As of 2024, the murders of Mara and Roland Hanel remain unsolved. It says, I say, if you have any information about the murder of Mara or Roland Hanel, contact Vermont State Police or a bunch of other anonymous tipster programs. And that, my friends, is the Vermont Chalet murders. A mystery's mystery. I normally would like to introduce my own theory here, but I have no idea. Out of curiosity, I went through that list of unsolved murders in Vermont and tried to find any similar ones in the 80s or possibly the 70s or 90s surrounding it in the same area. I couldn't find anything. That's about as much as I can do. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like, stick around for a bonus story or two after the music. Okie dokie. Bye-bye. Alrighty. Today, I have 2 cautionary tales to tell. 1. It's hot out, people. Let's be a little bit more aware. Quote, a woman faces an involuntary manslaughter charge in North Carolina after her child died from being left in a hot car. The 8-year-old girl was transported to a local hospital after being found in critical condition in a vehicle in Charlotte on Wednesday evening, but later died from a heat-related medical emergency, according to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. The child's mother was charged with involuntary manslaughter and child abuse by willful act causing serious injury. The 36-year-old woman is being held in the Mecklenburg County Jail on a $250,000 bond. The woman told police she left her daughter in the car while she went to work, according to an arrest affidavit. Before she left, she said she kept the air running in the car, but the child may have turned it off because she got too cold. The last time the woman heard from her daughter was via text, about an hour and a half before she returned to the car, authorities said. That's when she discovered the child lying on the back seat floorboard, unresponsive. Using a hammer, police said the woman busted the back window to reach her daughter. She then drove to the hospital, but stopped at a business to get help. What? Someone called 911 to report the emergency, and after emergency responders took the child to Novant Health Medical Center, the girl was pronounced dead early Thursday morning. The woman told police she shouldn't have left her child in the car. And that she knew it was 94 degrees Fahrenheit, or 34.4 degrees Celsius, outside, according to the affidavit. She admitted to knowing all this, and yet still freaking did it. She was appointed a public defender to represent her. Her next hearing is scheduled on July 17th. Every 10 days, a child dies of heat stroke after being left in a car, and a majority of these deaths happen because someone forgets a child in their car, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Seriously? Is that seriously their name? National Highway Traffic Safety Administration? Oh no. More than 1,000 children have died in the last 3 decades. Just bring your freaking kid into work. Just bring him into work. Who cares if they're annoying? At least they're not dead in your car. Jesus Christ. My second warning today. Never trust a man who calls himself a boy. Quote, a controversial spiritual leader in Nepal, known as Buddha Boy, has been sentenced to a 10-year prison term Monday for sexually assaulting a minor. Ram Bahadur Bamjan, believed by some to be the reincarnation of the founder of Buddhism, was also ordered to pay $3,700 in compensation to the victim by a judge at the district court in southern Nepal. Police arrested Bamjan from a suburb in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, in January on charges of sexual assault and suspicion of involvement in the disappearance of at least 4 of his followers. Nepalese banknotes worth $227,000 and other foreign currencies amounting to $23,000 were seized from him at the time of the arrest, police said. Last week, the court found him guilty of sexually assaulting an underage girl. The charges related to the disappearances of his followers are still pending trial. Bamjan is believed by many Nepalese to be the reincarnation of Siddhartha, who was born in southwestern Nepal some 2,600 years ago and became revered as the Buddha. However, almost every Buddhist scholar has been skeptical of his claims. He became famous in southern Nepal in 2005, and since his popularity has declined amid these accusations of sexual and physical assault of his followers, but he still maintains camps in southern Nepal where thousands come to worship or live, end quote. Ugh. Some people. So he's a pedophile and a possible abductor of people. A person napper. Welp. I hope you learned a lesson. Hot cars and men who call themselves boys. No. But that is all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for taking the time and learning with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Okie dokie. Bye-bye. Love you. Yeah, another golden episode, Eli. You got the eye of the tiger.